do know that I'm late. So I'll say, indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. I have had a busy day, especially as it relates to the talking to peepers. Got a little bit distracted before my yoga class. Was technically a little bit late there for, and then had a little bit of a chat with Joy V, and then ended up overdoing it there as well. But here we are. Better late than never, right? It's still today, and I'm showing up. Did you know that even if you're sitting in the shade, there's still about 60% of the UV rays bouncing off the atmosphere, bouncing back at you? I think I messed with some of the hairs. Hey, bro, the thumbnail for this video has you with your long Jesus from tech support hair. I don't know what that's about. I did take a thumbnail with me like trying to hold something, pretending that I'm extracting, but I guess it like didn't do that. I was literally like, as I was trying to get this stream to run, I was like peeving about the fact that every single time I try and upload a thumbnail, I have to upload the same thumbnail twice before it actually registers. And I guess I was supposed to do it 3 times today, Sam, because it clearly didn't work, I guess. Oh, I'm frustrated. I'm gonna quickly turn this around. I'm trying to hit the freaking turny aroundy button without touching my screen with my fingers filled with sunscreens. I'm gonna get myself some of this water. Nice. I feel frazzled, yo. So frazzled with like being late and stuff. I like doing things a certain way, you know. Things need to be done. Yeah. Have you thought about the possibility being your last spring season on the farm? I have. It's not a possibility even. It's the reality of the situation. I've been having this conversation with, like, that's why I was late for the first one. Uh, Sam, there's the thumbnail. Looks like it's the correct thumbnail. If it's, yeah, that's my short hair. It was weird looking at my end, and it was yesterday too. Yeah, yesterday is also MeltMore. Maybe you're just projecting long hair onto my head again. I do know that my thumbnail is still my like YouTube icon, I should say. Instead, it's still with me with long hair, but that was yesterday's, right? Yeah. Any short hair me? Any short hairs? Are you trolling me, Sam? Is it your turn to be the troll? Is that what's happening right now? If somebody else was doing the exact same thing, you would be like, "Are you trolling?" It's fine. We're here. We've shown up. I might have been a little bit late, but I'm happy to be here with you, friends. Thank you for finding yourself here alongside me. Today, I want to discuss lightly this fractal of attraction that we human beings have. Right now, quite literally, you are extracting oxygen from the air. Air that is what, 80% nitrogen, right? And you're extracting the oxygen from that air so you can be oxygenated, so you can continue your existence. You extract proteins and fats, glucose from the foods that you eat. You extract wisdom, lessons from your family and your peers. You extract meaning from this thing we call life. And I do believe there is something to be said about this human need to extract things. The morning started with me having a conversation with my dad about parts per million, right? Where if you have 5 parts per million gold in a material, that means you have 5 grams per ton, right? So if you process a ton, there is like 5 grams of gold in that ton. Maybe you get 4.44 grams out, and then you have like a relatively decent recovery rate, right? And then you can hit an ounce every 10 tons or something like that, right? Give or take, maybe a little bit sooner. You know what I mean? I hope, at least. And just like having that conversation with my dad, and my dad kind of talking about how impressive it is we human beings can do that we can extract 5 parts per million from something and then have that value. I was like thinking about that all day as I was going through my day. And then while I was in the shower, I was thinking about vitamins, interestingly enough, right? Thinking about how that we, thinking about how we have, in the same way, mined nutrients or like stuff from other stuff as well. Like you can take leaves and then extract whatever compound is most beneficial to the human body from that. You can take bananas, you can take whatever, you can take anything, and you can mine, you can extract out of that stuff, what is most valuable. And then I was like really applying that as this human thing, right? That's a very human thing to do, to extract the value from the bulk of an experience, from the bulk of a material. And I wonder, right? What have you been extracting? Are you trolling me, Sam? Trust me, if I were trolling you, the situation would be much more ridiculous than it is. Love is true, either way. It's nice to have you friends here. Tell me, what have you been extracting from reality as of late? Do you believe it is wrong for us to be extracting things? Do you think it's righteous for us to be extracting things? I am, for some part, pro extraction. You know what I mean, dog? You know what I mean? Right? We extract the protein and fats from waste materials, right? Like all of the offcuts and stuff from our meat industry. And then we put that in pebbles, pellets, kibble for our dogs to eat, right? And if we didn't have this ability to extract things, then we would have to go with a lot less, right? While at the same time losing so much in the extraction process. Hey, Aniha, it's nice having you here too, friend. I really am thinking about this fractal from a perspective of why is it that we are the way we are? Some people would argue that we are the way we are because the Anunnaki genetically engineered us to be a slave race in order to mine gold, right? Like, and I've heard these takes, and I find them very bad, right? Because if a sophisticated enough entity that can like space travel I want to say intergalactically, right? I don't know if they're from another galaxy, but let's say intergalactically, why would they need fleshy beings, right? That can get harmed, if you will, by the mining process to extract gold from the earth, right? Surely they would have extremely sophisticated robotics, or at the very least, they'll be able to like grow in vats, whatever autonomous, Correct me in chat, please. Instead of having to use human beings, I'll ask maybe the question. Hey, Giovanni is here with us. Hey, Joe. It's nice having you. Sending you lovin's. Today, I've been having a conversation with my friends about humans' ability to extract things. My dad is a mining engineer, and I kind of eavesdropped on him having a conversation with someone about how parts per million work. And then a little bit later in the conversation, when his phone call was done, I talked to him about this whole concept of parts per million, how it's something that I have understood more as it relates to like the stuff I put in my body, the air I breathe. Where with the mining industry, if there's 5 parts per million gold in a ton of material, that means there's about 5 grams of gold in that ton of material. And we human beings have grown so sophisticated that we can, with a relative high degree of accuracy, actually extract that gold from that ton of material. And then I was going through my day thinking about that. And I started likening it to like the vitamins and stuff that we drink as well, and how in the same way we have gotten good at extracting the value, the metaphorical gold from everything, right? And anything. And I started thinking about it like a very human act, this willingness slash ability slash desire to extract the value from something that there is a lot of, right? So that we can get the purest value instead of having to like sift through all of the extra material, right? Like a ton of rock that has 5 grams of gold in it is less valuable than 5 grams of gold with a ton of rock, separated from it. And why is it? Maybe you can ask me a bunch of questions and steer my mind in a little bit of a direction as to why it is we have this propensity to extract things. I'm 7. I'm 27. Got 2 decades on you, little homie. Love your parents. Oh, love yourself. Know that life is going to be wild. By the time you're my age, there's going to be robots walking among us. There's going to be eVTOLs, as they call them now, flying above your head. There's going to be drones delivering things to your doorstep. There's going to be, ideally, a significant shift in the way that we approach our human experience. I do take it very seriously. I try to extract the good from time, right? And I do know that we're going to have a lot more time on our hands in the future that we're kind of embracing right now. And I would like to make it good, all right? I would like for people to extract the good from the experiences that I give them. Surely they have some extremely advanced robotics. Why put the money into R&D when you can stash it in your ass and enslave people for free? Again, if you can intergalactic travel, the R&D has been done a long time ago, Sam. Wrong, wrong. Wrong, wrong. Again, like, think about like human trajectories. Let me exit out and come back again quickly. Think about it from like the human trajectory, right? Like, we are starting the process of getting good at space travel now, right? We're sending things to Mars. We're going to like build a base on the moon over the next decade as well. And as we do that, the very first thing you do, Sam, like number unos, numero unos, that you do is you build robotics, because sending fleshy human beings, to the moon to go and potentially die is not that cool, right? Generally speaking. So we build robotics that can facilitate the hard work and the extreme environments that is going to be required. And in that way, it's, in my mind, almost impossible for a species to get to the point where they can travel intergalactically or even interdimensionally without them having already figured out advanced robotics and artificial intelligence, right? So in that way, I'm very unconvinced with the whole Anunnaki thing. Very unconvinced. I don't believe. Let's see. Hey, Thiago, do you think life is a loop? I maybe, maybe I do. That we die and then come back, basically in reincarnation. Have we been here since before the human species existed? Maybe seeing the world through dinosaur? Why did you have to type that word? Oh, come on. Come on, Diego. You knew what you were doing. I'll try. I'll try anyway. Australopithecus. Australopithecus. Aus, Australopithecus. Australopithecus eyes. I don't know, bro. But yes, that is what I think. I do think that. Mine is a little bit more, I think, nuanced of an approach with what it is you're asking. I believe that what we are fundamentally is consciousness, right? That this thing I am is a human body, right? As I'm looking at it. But if I follow where it is I'm looking from, right, there is something behind this thing. And that thing is consciousness. And that consciousness, I believe, is almost like the fundamental truth of this universe. Look up panpsychism if you're interested. Panpsychism essentially dictates that everything is conscious, right? The blades of grass that I'm sitting on, the air as it passes over me, the water remembers, right? Like there is a certain level of uh, frequency. Maybe that's way you wanted to see it. Channels, another way, levels of consciousness. And not everything is in the same realm of consciousness, but as we as human beings have like created these sophisticated environments and have these sophisticated brains, the medium through which we experience consciousness has become very articulate, right? So we tell ourselves stories and we assign meaning to our reality. And that is almost what I'm talking about today, right? The fact that we human beings have this ability to extract value from our experience. But the reason we learn how to do that is because these things that we are have needs, right? I have needs. I have to eat food. I have to drink water. I have to have a place to sleep. And then we have like abstracted those needs into something like extraction, where if I get really good at extracting gold from rocks, then I can afford food and I can afford water filtration and I can afford a home, right? So, to answer your question in a roundabout way, I don't know if we're stuck necessarily in a loop. As much as I think consciousness is literally everything, and within everything, anything can arise, including this experience that we're having right now, right? It's like a microcosm of the larger thing. And it just continues. I don't know if it's linear, right? That's the other thing. Does it keep going and then it loops back around onto itself? And then do I eventually end up being what I am right now again? Right? Is this something that's unique? Friedrich Nietzsche, in fact, believed that you are going to live the exact same life you're living right now infinitely. All right, that you'll die and then you'll wake up again living this exact life, beat for beat, right? Nothing will change. And I don't know if he believed that empirically as that's what's true, or if he believed that as a life philosophy, as in, if that's true, how are you living your life right now? If you are going to be doomed to repeat this life you're living right now infinitely, what do you want to be experiencing, right? Are you happy with the experience you're having right now? Like Ben Arnold, this guy that uh, was in the stream right now. Like he must be extremely insecure and like very small brained. Me just like hitting with that, big stupid, to like waste his time, like to have all of this life experience, all of this possibility, available to him. And then he uses his divine consciousness to talk about female genitalia on a live stream, right? Like how small can you be, right? And do you want to repeat that infinitely, right? Are you going to be proud of yourself afterwards, looking back at the life that you've lived? Yeah, I'm sure happy that I use profanities on a live stream text window. that one time? I guess not, personally. Australopithecus. Ah, thank you. That's much easier to read if it's a little bit broken up. I believe we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Exactly, right? Spiritual and consciousness. Spiritual beings and consciousness for me are almost like a little bit interchangeable, yeah? Where a spiritual being is essentially that consciousness disembodied, where instead of that consciousness having to be a body and having to need a body for it to give itself a medium to experience through, spirit almost experiences as the experiencer, right? Unencumbered by eyes. And I guess that if that happens, the experience is a lot wider as well, right? Vast in experience. And then I do believe at the same time that we come and be human beings so that we can chillax, that we're here to calm down. We're not here to run ourselves up against the walls. Unfortunately, we have been convinced. We are very obsessed with our own survival. So, unfortunately, we do feel this motivation to continue our existence, but we're doing so at the detriment of living. Making a cult seems to be a good business these days. Making a cult. I mean, like, again, right? Like, business is cult in general. I'll say Ryu. Like, business is a cult, right? It's essentially a community of people that come together based on some sort of philosophy of what they think right is, right? So, yeah, literal business is a cult. So it would be apt to say making a cult seems like good business. Making a good business becomes a cult. Are you happy with the life you're living right now? No. So I'd like to speak to the manager. You are the manager, Sam. You are the manager. That's literally the point I'm making, is there is no separation. As consciousness, there is no separation. Right? Like the same consciousness, and I believe this, really, I do believe this. The same consciousness that I am, the same thing that is looking into this world is the same thing that you are. The only reason we are convinced we're not the same thing is because your brain has memories and your eyes have senses and your body is inputting to you that this is my experience. However, when I look out and I stare at my hands, I see hands. And when you look out and stare at your hands, you see hands, right? And at the umph extreme, there is no separating those experiences from one another, right? Like that consciousness is almost like the panopticon. It's like this eye that looks in every single direction simultaneously through you and through me. Do you think we're the same conscious experience, seeing things just from a different perspective with the illusion of individual creation? Like, I love how I was answering your question as you were asking it, Diego. I do believe that. I do believe that, right? I have no basis to believe or to prove that it's true necessarily, but there is one little thought experiment that I like taking people through when this question comes up. Ah, nice. So, yeah, nice, right? Mind to mind connection is already happening, Diego. We're tuning in. So, this is the thought experiment that I like doing. First and foremost, all of us can admit that there are three dimensions that we're experiencing in, right? The dimension of height, the dimension of depth, and the dimension of width. Right? We're like, yeah. And then there is the dimension of time, right? That instance by instance, I can be in different places within these three dimensions. Okay? Still following? Then there's the fifth layer, where the fact that I can be aware of this moving time spectrum, right? That I can be aware of these three-dimensional spaces that I take up means that what I am, technically, at least the way that it looks like to me, I exist in the fifth dimension, right? What I am, this thing behind my eyes, exists in the fifth dimension, looking down, right, onto this fourth dimension that is time, watching this three-dimensional thing move itself, right, throughout this world thing. I can move myself through space and time, and I can find myself with other people in this realm as well. And then I can have conversations, and I can share experiences, and I can grow, and I can cry, and I can laugh, and I can hope for better times, right? But ultimately, there is this almost like convincing ourselves of our own separation. And I believe that the job of your ego, right, as it relates to your brain and as it relates to the way that we have been brain damaged, in so many words, hey, Blitzful, like, I think it might have been, I'm going to ask just to make sure, wasn't Terence McKenna, and if it's not Terence McKenna, let me know who it was that posed, we have almost like lost some of the truth of our human experience by learning how to talk. That since we figured out this language thing, we have almost reduced our experience, the true experience, to something that we can quantify in language. And as a result, we're almost like living in an illusion because we know how to speak. And because we know how to speak, our egos use that as a tool to convince us of our own separateness. I think it was Terence McKenna. The ego, the egg, yeah, that's a good one. The Egg by Andy Weir is a wonderful exploration of all of these questions. It's true. One of my favorite takes. There's a Kurzgesagt video that actually talks about the egg. It was Wittgenstein and the Limits of Language. Ludwig Wittgenstein famously wrote, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world." Thank you, Myers. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, I think you'd love it. Especially if you're asking these kinds of questions. That's some good stuff. Sean Taylor, hey, how's everyone today? It's nice to have you here, Sean. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling a little bit more energized than I did yesterday. I'm feeling a sense of curiosity as it relates to our human ability to extract things. How are you feeling today, Sean? Is it the first time that you're here? Your name seems familiar. I haven't said it many times before. What do you think about our current establishment? Do you feel we live in a modern slavery? Yes. I feel like, again, it's one of those things where we are enslaving ourselves. So it's not like a modern slavery that we're living in, because like slavery used to be us being enslaved by someone in power, right? The someone in power is you these days, technically. However, it's a matter of what you want to be a slave to, right? There are individuals that dumpster dive, you know? They call themselves freegans. They only eat food that's free, right? And that's the way they exist in this world. They dumpster dive and they extract their calories and they sleep where they can. You know, they set themselves up a tent. And like arguably, those are the kinds of people that are the most free in our world, right? And they are the least of slaves. And then the other side of that spectrum, the CEO, right, of a billion-dollar company is beholden to his shareholders. Yes, he's millionaire. Yes, he got nice car, got nice house, you know, pretty wife and kids. But he's more a slave to the system and to himself and his own obligations and expectations than the person dumpster diving is, right? So in that way, right, technically that CEO could be seen as the slave master with all of these employees underneath him. However, I think it's like a choice. It's a choice these days, and we're choosing to enslave ourselves more than anything. Thank you. I'm feeling a little sad. This is my first time. My name comes from a football player in the past. That's cool. Bless you, Sean. I'm sorry to hear that you're sad. You want to tell us what's going on? What's making you sad, friend? And what can we, as a community, potentially do to cheer you up? What can you potentially do to feel cheered up? We're here for you. This captures, I was talking about language just a little bit earlier. This captures the idea that our capacity to experience and articulate the world is bounded by the language that we have. In his Tractatus Logico Philosophicus, Wittgenstein explored how language both frames reality and constrains what can be meaningfully said, and conversely, what must remain unsaid. In his later work, Philosophical Investigations, he extended this into the notion of language games, showing how meaning arises out of use and how philosophical confusion often comes when we remove words from their lived context. How about that? I agree. The thing is that there's some kind of momentum slash inertia which we inherit from the society and our parents. That's true, right? Like, for instance, uh, body image issues, right? I have inherited a lot of body image issues from my parents. My mom was very vocal when I was young, right? If I, and I was overweight, when I got overweight, my mom let me know, right? And she made it very clear to me that it was not okay for me to be overweight. And as a result, I've had a very tumultuous relationship with food and a very bad relationship with body dysmorphia. And I've had to spend so much time getting good, right? So I can call and sense the voices inside my mind. And in that way, I am a slave to my own uh, momentum. I'm a slave to this need to not be judged, right? To take away the things that I might be judged for. And it messes with us a lot, right? Like, it ruins our life experience in some ways, right? Especially since we get older. So being convinced that your value is linked to how pretty you are or how skinny you are. You are right about that part, at the very least. Interesting take on language, by the way. We're going to explore a little bit more. It gets deeper. There are other people that have talked about this too. So relatable. I have body dysmorphia too. Diego, you are worthy of love, right? Remind yourself thereof. And, like, also, while you're reminding yourself thereof, when you're talking to yourself, talk to yourself as your best version, right? Is that instead of being like that, that like judgmental, I hate myself for being fat, be in your mind the version of yourself that's already fit and praise yourself for getting better, for getting stronger, for showing up for your own well-being, right? And, like, that's apparently a new psychological trick that helps people actually, change their behaviors, because when we're approaching ourselves from a pure place of just like hatred, it's very difficult to actually make any difference. Show up for love, Diego. You deserve, right? And I say that very seriously. You deserve to be loved, right? It's not always easy to extract love from this universe, but again, you don't have to. All of the love you could ever want, all of the love you'll ever get is technically going to come from in here, right? Another person might convince you to love yourself more, might convince you that you are in love, but at the other side of it, show up for love. Oh, Gary Lee, I've been thinking about you such big bunches, bro. I like watch your shorts. I've been seeing your comments. I like really enjoyed your take on the whole music is proof of higher power. You're so clever, bro. Thank you for blessing me with $5. I appreciate that. Means a lot. I'm coming from that podcast, dude. It's getting closer and closer. Your mom should have been the first person to help you stay a healthy way to begin with. Sorry she treated you like this. Two-siders, you don't have to apologize or feel sorry for me, right? My mom did. My mom did try to keep me at a healthy weight. However, the society that we are in normalizes the consumption of sugar. And my mom is a baker, right? So growing up, there was always an abundance of sugar accessible to me, right? And I was not the happiest child, so I would self-soothe by eating things. And then because I would self-soothe by eating things, I got progressively more and more overweight. I was 220 pounds at 16. It was bad, right? I was not happy. I was not happy. I was not feeling good. I hated life and I hated other people. And it took a lot of change, a lot of change, in order for me to kind of like get out of that. I was bullied and fat shamed by my peers as well. And it's interesting to notice how the person transforms, right? The value we try to extract, since that is the stream topic. I have extracted a lot of meaning from my own suffering, right? Like, yes, I have gone through a bunch of experiences that are less than ideal, but I'm willing to acknowledge that I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I didn't, right? Would I go back and change anything? Would I go back and tell my mom to be differently? Would I go back and ask the bullies to not bully me? I don't know that I would, right? So that's the dichotomy of the human experience at the other side of it. I see that she has been secretive with the phone back and forth. Oh, I think you said something, Sean. I'm having issues with the girl I'm with. Yeah, that sounds about right, Sean. The one thing that can really make a man sad is a girl. I get it, bro. I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. You mentioned, and I see that she has been secretive with the phone back and forth, and it made me cheat. And so I have a little guilt. And then again, I shouldn't have considered the fact that she cheated too, simply. In other words, you feel that she's been secretive with her phone, that convinced you that she was, being unloyal. And then you being convinced thereof made you make a decision to be unloyal as well without actually knowing whether or not that was true. And now you're experiencing the guilt that comes alongside that decision. I don't know if this helps, Sean, but it's a very human experience you're having, right? I sometimes try and like bring it into people's minds that some experiences are very normal to have, right? I'm not advocating for you cheating on your partner to have such an experience, but I am willing to admit that that experience has been happening for thousands of years, and humanity has continued. People have people have not. Thank you, bro. People have not, completely gone into the desolation of the void because of these experiences as well. In other words, continue forward. You're going to be okay. Don't let the sad get the best of you. Thanks, man. By the way, love from Brazil. Thank you, Diego. I live in South Africa. I want to travel to Brazil one day. Love to Brazil. Ciao. Bless. Me too. Would be nice. Do you think suffering was a catalyst for your spirituality? Yes. Yes, I do. At least, at the very least, it was a motivating factor, right? I believe suffering, and this is again with my journey of self-exploration and trying to gather information, extracting wisdom, right, from other people. There is this quote that resonates with me as truth, where it goes, "Suffering is wanting for things to be differently," right? And because I suffered and wanted for things to be differently, I started making changes in my life, right? I made changes in my diet. I made changes in the way that I stayed active. I made changes in the stuff that I was telling myself in my head. And as I made these changes, I started suffering less, little by little, and then a lot. I suffer. I still suffer. I suffer all the time, right? Again, I still want for things to be differently, especially as it relates to our world and seeing the amount of harm that's caused by ourselves onto each other, right? I still want for that to be differently. But as it relates to my personal experience, I don't suffer being myself as much anymore, right? In other words, just wanting to be differently as who I am. I have found some contentment in spirituality with this person that I'm here to be. All right, reminding myself that I'm here to love. I'm not here to suffer, technically. Suffering makes a person seek answers, meaning to that suffering. And often religion is the catch all for these broken people. Yeah, I came from religion. And like that's the other side of it, right? Religion can cause you suffering as well. Religion caused me a lot of suffering because it convinced me that I am a sinner that is in need of saving. And if I don't manage to be saved, when the rapture comes, I'll be left behind. When I die, I'll be sent to hell to burn for an eternity. And just the thought of that, the notion that I am born to live a life, and then there is a God that is actively watching me in order to judge me. And if I make mistakes in this finite life experience, then I'll be tortured for eternity. Right? That caused me a tremendous amount of suffering. Right? That I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope with that belief system, and I had to break away from that belief system to the dismay of my family and community. Right? They don't particularly enjoy the fact that I'm not on their side when it comes to the whole religious way of seeing the world. I believe spirituality is the approach we're supposed to be taking, where spirituality is when you have a relationship with God without religion, where religion is a relationship with God that is agreeable. In other words, if I'm in a religion, I can look to the person next to me in church or the mosque or add your thing here, and I can be convinced that you believe in the same God that I believe in, right? And then in some people, they find a sense of comfort in thinking they're right, where I know that I am probably wrong, probably. I like to believe that I'm right about most things, but when it comes to the ultimate answer to what life is, it's probably 42. I don't know what the right answer is, and as a result, I don't concern myself with that as a topic or a discussion, right? I'm not going to try and make you out to be wrong, but if you are trying to tell me that I'm wrong and you're right, then we're going to have problems. Because I'm going to be like, yeah, Cap, don't tell me, don't be bullshitting me, right? Like you can tell me about other stuff, but as soon as you start bullshitting me about stuff that neither of us have any empirical evidence for or can prove definitively, we're gonna have problems. We're gonna have some problems. Were you born in South Africa? Yeah, I was born here. Or did you choose to move? In that case, why? I was born here. I've been to China, and I've been to Mozambique, and I've been to Zimbabwe and Botswana and Namibia. But I was born here. I've been staying here for a long time. It's nice having you here, Dylan. I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, bro. Imagining you getting better soon. I was trying to break it off, and she kept fighting for the relationship, but it seems that she is fighting for something in return and not love. That makes it hard as well. Instantly, the first thing that comes to my mind, Sean, is a line that me and Jovan discussed a little bit last night, where it goes, don't give up on the people that don't give up on you, right? So I don't know if you're uber wealthy or something, Sean, and this person wants to stay in a relationship with you because you have been uh, facilitating her well-being, right? If if she's living with you and the relationship ending is going to mean she has to find a new home, right? Like there's so many nuances that can slot into the depth of what it is you're going through right now. Love is true. That's the philosophy that I show up for. It's very difficult to believe it sometimes, especially when the world convinces us otherwise, when we're hurt by our experiences, when we're sad. It's very hard to believe that love is true. But don't give up on those that don't give up on you. The practice of religion is not meant to be a stumbling block. And yet, we have people attending weekly confessions, having household appliances to be blessed, and otherwise inconveniencing themselves, and none of that is necessary. If you are practicing your religion to such an extent that it is having a negative impact on yourself or anyone around you, you're doing it wrong. It's interesting that you're saying that. I saw like a Reddit post just yesterday, Sam, where someone was talking about the way that religion has been applied, and how it's been applied more often than not in order to hate other people, right? In order to convince people to isolate, right? The us versus them, You're not my religion, so you are the infidel, the heathen, right? And because you're a heathen, technically you are subhuman or lesser than. And as a result, it's kind of okay for me to hate you or kill you, right? Like, unfortunately, Religion has been used for that purpose more than it's been used for the purpose of good, if you look at the history of our species. And that's, again, why I do take some issue with religion in general, unfortunately. She keeps talking about marriage and kids. I'm living with my parents, and she lives by herself. Well, that definitely does add some context. That fractal of, I don't know if I should call it a situationship, right? But nobody wants to be alone, Sean. Maybe that can be the way we say it, right? Nobody wants to be alone. And the prospect of finding someone to love is daunting, at the very least, right? People end up staying in relationships that they're not necessarily happy with because the idea of being unhappy out of the relationship hurts more than being in the relationship where they might be experiencing some pain. I'm sorry that you're going through all of these challenges. Do you still love this person? Right? Is the idea of having kids with her and marrying her completely off the table for you? You still living with your parents? I don't find that shameful, right? I, in fact, believe that uh, we were always supposed to, right? That a home is a place to sleep, right? And as long as you're still trying to do something with your own life, right? If you're staying with your parents and like spending the whole day on your computer playing games and you have no ambition to do anything other than that, then I have a problem with the living with your parents, right? But if you're staying with your parents and you're saving money with the intent of building something, with the intent of buying yourself a place one day, with the intent of like maybe building yourself a van to sleep in, right? Like then I can see value in the staying with your parents. But having a relationship at the same time, is that important to you, right? Is it a priority in your life? How it's been applied to hate people. I am the Lord your God, and you shall not take my name in vain. Means I am the Lord your God, and you shall not attach my name to your selfish human shit. Exactly. Yeah, it's not like a saying the word God. It's like using God as your defense. Right? That's taking God's name in vain. Of like, yeah, I killed that person, but God told me to do it. Right? Boom, sin. Sean, I hope you find peace in the answers that come. Exploring attachment styles might give you some insight. That's very good advice. Do go and check out all of the different attachment styles. There's a bunch of good YouTube videos that will help you explore that as well. Building a secure attachment can really support both self healing and stronger connection with loved ones. Sean says, I think she wants it to work because she's seen my family, my house, and how close I am with my family. And I feel that she is a narcissist. The way she argues, it gives me PTSD from my previous relationship. Thank you all. I'm off. It is off the table that she can be the mother of my kids. I'm working and helping with the bills and such. Love is true. I'm happy that you're helping as well. I'm happy that you're working, right? Still kind of like building on yourself. That's the most important thing. Uh, you should be doing the things that you love in this life. I can feel that there definitely is a lot of tension in this experience that you're going through right now. And it hurts my heart to imagine it not being easy, right? Especially as you said that this person is fighting to be with you. Her way of arguing, giving you PTSD, that sounds like a little bit of a yikes. Her not being the mother of your kids and you being convinced of that is already a good sign, right? Like it's one of those things where if you believe it's not going to work in the long term, then you're hurting yourself and that person by keeping it going. I'm not the type of person to advocate for the end of relationships necessarily, right? But I do understand that some relationships have a time and a place in our lives, right? And that when that time and that place changes, so do we. Right? It's almost like a imperative. It's like it's your responsibility to listen to what life is telling you. What is the next chapter of your experience, and what does that look like? Do you want this next chapter of your experience to include things that cause you discomfort? Too many red flags. Yeah, that's a big challenge. Being a human is hard, Sean. Being human is no easy feat. All right. Don't be too hard on yourself. I can see you care a lot. All right. That you want to do what's right. You don't want to hurt anybody either. But you have to remember that you are also somebody that can be hurt. Right. I wish I was more helpful in moments like these. I wish I could say the right words to set you at ease. Do you feel a little bit more at ease? Are you still as sad as you were at the start of this stream? Maybe I can ask that, Sean. Let me know. Let me know. While you do, I'll kind of like touch on these language fractals a little bit more. Fritz Mauther, the skeptic of language. Fritz presented a more skeptical take. He believed that language is fundamentally incapable of reaching the essence of reality. Yeah, that's kind of like what I was getting at as well. That's true. Thank you so much. I need to do what's right. Love yourself, dear friend. Love yourself. There are a great deal of people on planet Earth, right? And I do believe that there is a time and a place for everything, right? Like I'm thinking about some of the relationships that I've been in, and I don't talk to those people anymore, but they were still a part of my life, a formative part of my life. They still showed me what it is I need. They still taught me how to love other people and how to love myself in the context of a relationship. So in that way, I'm feeling better. Great. In that way, like love this person for that as well, Sean. Like remember that part of it. Appreciate her for the role that she's played in your life. Don't don't be too hard on yourself in the meantime. He argued that words are merely memory marks, contingent and imperfect, and that they let us perceive a barely more of reality than a spider understands of the place its web sits in. Ooh, that is so good. Fritz, Fritz Mauthner, Yossi. Oh, I want to read that whole bit again. Hey, Jaju. It's nice having you, River Coon. Sending your blessings, bro. We're talking a little bit about humans' ability to extract wisdom, love, experience from our lives, right? Our ability to extract gold from rocks, our ability to extract vitamins from leaves, the skins of bananas, like we human beings like extracting the good stuff. And that's what we're talking a little bit about today. And then we got to this point of talking about language and how because we use language and because we are these egos and our egos have been taught how to use language, we see only in part what reality is. I think that is where I feel bad sometimes. Yeah, that is where I feel bad sometimes. Let me know exactly what you mean, Sean. I'm missing some context. Again, right, going down this little thing. Fritz Mauthner presents a more skeptical take. He believed that language is fundamentally incapable of reaching the essence of reality, right? Like you cannot use words to actually describe true reality. You can use words to describe what you think reality is. Points at tree, right? But you point at tree, and there are hundreds of different trees. There are thousands thousands upon thousands of different trees with different shapes and different leaf structures and different root systems and different sizes. But we say tree, right? And in that way, we are reducing what reality is to something that our minds can conceptualize and understand, right? It gives us a sense of comfort to be like, yeah, tree and tree and tree and tree. Like I've pointed at 3 different species of trees, but I say tree for every single one of them, right? That's kind of the way I'm absorbing this right now. He argued that words are merely memory marks, contingent and imperfect, and that they let us perceive barely more of reality than a spider understands of the place its web sits in. How about that? I should not be hard on myself. Okay, yeah. Again, we take things very seriously these days, Sean. We have been convinced with words that everything is like very serious, so serious. And if you're not making the right decision, then your life is going to be all fucked up. But it's rarely that way. You know, life is pretty malleable. Life allows for mistakes to be made. Life allows for you to stumble around. Life allows for you to learn slowly but surely. And being hard on ourselves during that process isn't helpful. That's the big thing you should always ask yourself. Like, is this really helping me? This negative, is this helping me? Right? It can, arguably. You can use that to motivate yourself to change things and actually be better, in your relationship or be better to yourself. But if it's just like, and I can do that. I found in myself where there's just, and then I'll be like, hey, stop that. Stop that, actually, myself. Stop that. You're not helping. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Regretting a thing means you learned, dear Joe. Wait, Joe? Is Joe regretting? Did I miss something? I get caught up on myself when I think about personal growth. I have moments of pride and moments of regret. Yet, I'm confident in the growth. Exactly. Should not be too hard on myself, indeed. We move and we progress. Regretting a thing means you learn, dear Joe, but shit. Do I wish we didn't have to learn things the hard way? Yeah. I have many regrets, right? I wish I could go back and not make many of the mistakes I've made. Many of the mistakes I've made has been financial. My life could have been better financially if I've made less mistakes in the past. But again, my life is not over. I still have my entire life ahead of me to still work hard and make a difference, build something for myself, right? So, like, again, it's future forward or past centered. Like, if you're only focused on the past and what the past has held and what that means, you're going to live a life that is less than what is right in front of you, right? And vice versa is true. Sean, energy flows, energy follows thought. In your inner monologue, be sure to speak to yourself as you would a loved one. Be graceful towards yourself. As yourself, ask yourself for success. Support yourself. It's beautifully said. And she's not working, collecting Social Security because of her back issues here and there. Ooh. Yeah. That can be extra challenging, Sean. Motivation and ambition are 2 very important qualities in a human being to me personally, because I am a very motivated and ambitious person, right? And if you are motivated and ambitious, and the person that you're taking as a life partner isn't, then there's going to be this dichotomy, right? Like you're metaphorically chained now to the other person, and one person wants to move forward, and the other person wants to be dragged. It's not going to work. They take half of everything. She getting married will have you stuck. Yeah. Yeah, Sean, it can, right? Getting married shouldn't be about being stuck. Getting married should be about really believing in a person and the support that they will provide, right? As a partner, as a lover, as an emotional confidant, as someone that you can trust, right? Like it's a big decision to make. It really is. Language separation, and this is another way to think about it as well, right, Sean? Is that she's you on the other side, right? The same consciousness that you are, she is as well. She's a lazy person at times too. I can be too. I can also be lazy, right? Again, lazy is a slur. I probably shouldn't say stuff like that, but lazy is a slur word. It's one of those things that we have convinced ourselves of to like hurt ourselves. I used to call myself lazy. I don't do that anymore, really. Right? I did technically just do it. It's like just think about motivation, right? Like it's not hard for you, for instance, to do something you enjoy doing, right? And I'm sure that it's not hard for her to do something that she enjoys doing as well, right? Like we can spend hours upon hours like locked into a screen, right, without a break, right? That shows that we have this capacity to apply ourselves, right? So lazy is again just a mismatch of energy, you know. So yeah, love is true. Don't let yourself be convinced. There is no separation. And let's see if we can gain some more wisdom if we can extract some. Another perspective comes from contemporary discussions about how language shapes our sense of separation. Language shapes how we perceive the world, right? Like the word lazy, for example, right? That's a very powerful word, and it's not a good one for the most part. I don't think the word lazy is ever used in a positive context necessarily, right? And as a result, we can use the word lazy to compare ourselves. Oh, the person lazy, me not lazy. And then because me not lazy, me better than person that lazy be, right? Creating that sense of separation, the me and you mentality. Language shapes how we perceive the world. And without it, the world and the self might feel more integrated, less other. In that sense, language reinforces our sense of division. You missed a paragraph to read. I did. She's not working. Energy follows thought. Regretting a thing. I should not be hard on myself. Feel bad sometimes. Let me see if I hit all messages. Back issues. Your inner monologue. I don't see any paragraph that I've missed. You'll have to send it again, maybe. This aligns with the idea that you connected to, that speaking allows the ego to assert separateness, potentially overshadowing a more unified embodied experience. She said, oh, a marriage is a contract and this and that. I was like, wow, I don't like the way you speak about marriage. She likes to sue. She likes to sue. She got hurt at Target and she sued. I guess that's where she hurt her back. Yeah, someone that likes to sue. That seems like a whole can of worms. I've never been around someone that sued someone else. We don't sue that much here in South Africa. She'd cue up her boss fight music, Chauvin, wondering what would happen if you set the boundary of prenuptial. That might be what is necessary. You missed a paragraph to read. She'd cue up her boss fight music, Chauvin. Oh, geez. Car accident, she sue. Which I get it, but she has a plan almost as if she's more than marriage. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as you said, Sean, red flags. But like again, she has used her language and you have the ability to discern, ability to listen. Can you leave me alone, Fly? All right. Little bit more. Synthesis. Is this McKenna or someone else? While Terence McKenna explored language and its limits, often poetically and metaphorically, I didn't find an exact phrase like the one you shared. Instead, thinkers above Wittgenstein and Mauther and various contemporary commentators more clearly articulate this tension between language and experience and separation. My mom was back home. Yeah, his mom's back home. Hmm? His mom. Yeah, his mom. Yay! You'll be excited. All right. I technically skipped over the little bit up top, right? The whole extracting stuff. She hurt her back in 2017 in a car accident. Yeah, not at the target, I'm guessing. As you, that's why you're sharing that. So I told her that I didn't like the way you speak about marriage. She said, "Oh, Sean, what, you want a prenup?" And then you said yes, right? Yes, I would like a prenuptial agreement, right? I think in general, it might be a good idea to get a prenuptial agreement just to like seethe some of the tensions, right? Because a prenuptial agreement means absolutely nothing if the relationship continues healthily, right? And it only starts meaning something when the relationship falls apart. Where not having a prenuptial agreement uh, means that when the relationship or if the relationship falls apart, it means a lot more, right? So it's like a checkbox thing. It's like if I check this box, then if things change in the future, right, there might be less headache, right? And if she is like 100% against that, then that's also like, again another red flag. Yo, remember me? I do, Oscar. I do remember you. Well, with a prenup, even if you do that, she can probably get away with it and say, oh, she was forced into a prenup. So there is a way to get around it. I see her being a strategist about this. I mean, I'm pretty sure that a prenup is like a legally binding document and she has to sign it as well. All right. You can be like just don't. Just don't, Sean. The more I hear, the more yikes it becomes. What time is it for you? It's just morning. No, it's 20 minutes past 5. 20 minutes past 5? How about you, Oscar? Is it morning for you? Where do you live? I'm going to touch on these points a little bit, and then we're going to get close to ending the stream today. We talked about extracting value, and I wanted to ask some questions about that, right? Why is it? Why is it we want to extract value? Try to tease this out with some questions about value itself. Why do you think humans prize the pure version of something more than its embedded version? Is the value really in the thing itself, the goal, the vitamin, the idea, or is it in our ability to separate it from its surroundings? I think there's value in separating something from our surroundings, right? Like, for instance, if a teacher, right, extracts wisdom from their life and then they present that information in a way where I can learn from them, that is valuable to me, right? And it's not valuable to me when that experience is just in their life and they never articulate it to me. At least that's the way I see it. About the act of extraction. Do you think extraction is primarily about survival, getting nourishment or resources? Or is it about a deeper psychological satisfaction, the joy of clarity, purity, or mastery? I think it depends on the person, right? I personally take great pride in making things more clear, making things more pure, mastering something, right? So there is definitely a deeper psychological satisfaction that arises in me when I extract value from things. Jovan shared some. Yikes, Sean. I think generally you'll want to find yourself around people who build you up and that you can grow together with. If someone is taking more than they're giving, make sure you move forward in a way that is sustainable for you. Otherwise, you can end up drained. Jovan, has this beautiful thing that she said to me that instantly comes up to my mind, Xiao, where she said, "The amount of love that I've been giving you, I can sustain." Right? That if you're going to love a person, right, it's very easy at the start of the relationship, right? When it's like new and fun and interesting to like be texting for 12 hours a day, right? But that is not sustainable. You cannot sustain that level of, because we still have lives to live, we still have things to do, we still have, stuff that's gonna add some of our time. So if you're going to go into a relationship, as Joe said, make sure it is sustainable to you. Make sure that you can actually, we have a word in Afrikaans, hand off, manage. Make sure you can manage the amount of energy that it is you're giving. Hi everyone, doggy walking about to happen. So lurk mode. We love you, Sandra. It's nice having you here with us. Sending you blessings. I love how you dog walk with you being in this space. It makes me happy to know that I'm in your ear and you're just like exploring your world, having dog on leash or something. Brings me joy. Sending you love. We're discussing a little bit about extracting the good from the world, and I'm going through these points and asking some questions of myself. I don't know if I'm answering them correctly, but I'm answering them from my perspective at the very least. About the core, about the cost of extraction. If we pull 5 grams of gold out of a ton of rock, we celebrate that skill. But what about the ton of waste we create? Do you think our focus on extracting the gold blinds us to the broader picture of what we're leaving behind? That's a fantastic question. Hmm. Such a good question. I'm back all the way to that questions that you asked about extracting value. And I'm on question number 3 about the cost of extraction. Uh, I know that this is a microcosm of the larger conversation that we're having, but is it possible for us to use the waste, the extra ton waste that is left over after we extract the gold from ore? Can we use that as building material in any way? Or is it too toxic for us to do so? That's the first thing my mind goes to, is like, maybe it can still be used. Maybe it can still be useful. About the metaphorical gold, beyond minerals and vitamins, what other parts of life do you see us extracting from? Think art, think music, friendships, spirituality. Do we mine experiences for their highlights? And if so, what does that do to the rest of the rock of living? These are cool questions, bro. What does that do to the rest of the experience of living? I think it can make us be very dismissive of our own time for a large part, right? I find that in myself as well, because I have like a bunch of things that I do that I assign a lot of meaning to, a lot of value to. And then when I'm not in that state, I am largely distracted or biding my time, right? And as a result, my time is filled with less meaningful experiences because I think so. Right? Maybe I'm capping, but that's like basically the gist. I had a wrestle with lions about 2 months ago now, where that point became very clear to me. Where as soon as I just took my time to just be with myself, like literally I turned the lights off, and then I got on a yoga mat, and then I was just doing stretches, right? It felt like I like hacked time. Like I would do like, and again, like I was like basically sensory deprived, right? So I would do these stretches, and then it would feel experientially like thousands of years have passed, like stories unfolding in my head, visuals being shown to me, like these experiences, like my life experiences unfolding and how they relate to what I'm feeling, and then I would be like, wow, that was a lot, and then I would check the time and 4 or 6 minutes had passed, and I'd be like, how's that possible? So in that experience, I showed myself that by believing erroneously so sometimes that some experiences are more valuable than others, we end up experiencing total less valuable experiences, right? It's like we convince ourselves, And then the thing we've convinced ourselves of becomes a reality. About the drive itself, where do you think this propensity comes from in us? Is it evolutionary, efficiency equals survival, cultural, capitalism and progress, or maybe even spiritual, a yearning to touch the essence of things? Fuck yeah. That's exactly what it's about. To touch the essence of something. Like when you extract the gold from ore, right, you can touch that shiny metal. All right, you can feel it in your hands. You can be like, look at that, cool. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. About the drive itself. And then the alternatives. If extraction is about getting the best out of a mixture, what would the opposite approach be? Not extracting, but appreciating the whole ton of rock, impurities, extra, and all. Could there be a value in that too? I feel like that comes back to the question I asked about the question, right? Uh, that's a sharp and grounded question, of course. Blowing smoke up my ass. The truth is, what tailings are? Tailings are basically fine ground rock and chemical residue left over after separating out the valuable ore. Depending on the process, they might contain, like I do know this, cyanide or arsenic and mercury and other heavy metals that are naturally present in the rock or used in extraction. Cyanide and arsenic or like especially like cyanide is used to extract gold. Do you know that? We use cyanide to extract gold. Yeah. Can it be reused? Some efforts exist to reprocess tailings, going back through them to extract even more minerals with the newer tech as it develops, or neutralizing them. There is research using certain stabilized tailings as construction material. For example, mixing it with cement and then making bricks. Yeah. But the catch is you have to make sure the toxic elements are permanently bound so they can't leach into the soil or the groundwater. Yeah. In some cases, inert or non toxic tailings are used as backfill in mines or even in roads as base layers. Okay, so yeah, why it's hard? The problem is that tonnage is massive. For every 5 grams of gold, you've got 1 ton of waste. Multiply that by industrial scale, and you're looking at mountains of toxic sludge. Managing it is often more expensive than extracting the gold is in the first place. How wild is that? That's so wild. So the answer is yes. Sometimes waste can be reduced, but only if it's stabilized, neutralized, and inherently non-toxic. Otherwise, it becomes one of humanity's greatest environmental debts. The Earth is big, really big, but we are creating little scars, little pimples on our surface. I do believe we'll get better. I have this dream that every single time we mine a place, we build infrastructure into that place, right? Like you create a big, big mining hole, all right? You fill that hole up with buildings, all right? Like that's the hopeful part of me. Maybe if we move past scarcity, all right, and we have robots and things that can 3D print buildings. And again, right, the tailings have to be really fine in order to actually be able to extract all of the gold because you want surface area. So they are technically the perfect material for building 3D printers because they want fine aggregate. So yeah. Can work, hopefully, one day. It was so nice sharing this moment with you, friends. I don't know if my comments are busted. No, they seem to be working. I'll show you a flower. Ooh, and then I'll say you a goodbye. Is this the right one? Yeah. There is yesterday's flower. Jovan with her heart eyes. There's 2 little hearties there and hearties there. The way these things slot in. I have kid lurking. We love you. Sam, sending little Seth blessings. Mm-hmm. All right. And then the piece of poetry that went alongside. Having South Africa potato internet. That moment when it takes that long to load anything. Your soul starts leaving my body. Hey, it's working. All right. No photos, but I can read. Hoopy asking me, should I tell you what I see? I want to tell him, should is a slur. You don't have to do anything, Holmes. I'm here to receive whatever you have to give. Patch notes for a kinder world. Yeah, how about that? Patch notes for a kinder world. Think of Earth as a group chat. Read receipts are on. Responsibility isn't weight, it's response plus ability. The knack of answering a moment before it finishes asking. Not a chore, a chord. We're tuned to a major. We're tuned to care major. Strumming the daily yes. Tend this corner. Unstick that silence. Upgrade the day to V. Next. Small moves push the world forward. Commit messages. Did what I could. Deploy joy. Roll back harm. Cache kindness so it loads fast for strangers. I treat the street like a stage light. Mix purple with orange, cue sunrise. Let the edge melt wider than maps allow. Even shadows belong to light. On the yoga mat, gravity and I sign a treaty. Breath is aversion, control for attention. Spine says yes, heart hits go live. Lag is just kindness, taking the scenic route. Economics of care. Interest grows where attention is paid. Audit your all, balance your better. We're all on the lineup tonight, headliners of the ordinary. Love is true, is my default setting. The quiet code under the hood. Proof? Watch your room. Debug itself when you arrive with your hands open. The world's to-do list hides in plain sight. Cute checkboxes disguised as people. Tick 1, hold the door. Tick 2, hold your tongue. Tick 3, hold the gaze long enough for someone to feel real. Call it micro-heroics, the art of tipping reality. One pixel, one posture, one pun at a time. Yes, pun. If we can play, we'll never rewrite the playbook. Responsibility is a crown of a comfy band, not heavy, just luminous. It fits like purpose. It says you're on call and also you're on. So melt the borders, remix the obvious, plant the seeds marked now, water them with showing up. The future reads the fine print of our habits and signs it in bright ink. If anyone asks who's in charge, show them a mirror. We are the patch notes, we are the update. Press save, press send, and watch the sky lighten by one honest click. Thought he was thinking for a moment. It's nice having you friends here with me. Sending you blessings. I appreciate you spending this time. You got stuff. What? Are we losing our minds? Lucy, 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 Lucy. Thank you, friends, for following the blueprint of kindness. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. It's a pleasure having you here on these days. Had the moon staring over us this whole time. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. It's always a pleasure. See you, friends, again soon. Tomorrow. Goodbye for now, everyone. I love you. Oh, great. I finally got the kid put down and we're leaving. Sorry, Sam. It was nice having you here, nonetheless. Goodbye, dear friends. Be here again tomorrow.